If you'd like to increase your energy naturally while dynamically supporting your immune system, then you'll love this episode on Astragalus benefits. Astragalus membranaceus, also known as Astragalus propinquus, is filled with so many powerful gifts. This is a plant I would never want to be without, especially during the winter months. There's many ways to enjoy Astragalus benefits, but my favorite is an Astragalus spice tea recipe, which I'll share with you in just a bit. So stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the Herbs with Rosalee podcast, a show exploring how herbs heal as medicine, as food, and through nature connection. I'm your host, Rosalee de la Forêt. I created this YouTube channel to share trusted herbal wisdom so that you can get the best results when relying on herbs for your health. I love offering up practical knowledge to help you dive deeper into the world of medicinal plants and seasonal living. Each episode of the Herbs with Rosalee podcast is shared on YouTube as well as your favorite podcast app. Transcripts and recipes for each episode can be found at herbswithrosaleepodcast.com or through the link in the video description. Also in the video description, you'll find other helpful resources. For example, to get my best herbal tips, as well as fun bonuses, be sure to sign up for my weekly herbal newsletter. Okay, grab your cup of tea and let's dive in. During the dark, cold months of the year, you will most likely find a pot of Astragalus tea simmering on our wood stove. This herb is so loved that in our household, of a small family of 2, we go through several pounds every single year. Its deeply nourishing gifts support our immune systems as well as our energy levels. The benefits of Astragalus aren't simply in the short term. It's also an important herb to support longevity and quality of life in the elder years. Originally from China, where it's commonly used in medicinal formulas as well as prepared in food, Astragalus has been widely adopted by Western herbalists. The roots and polysaccharide extracts have been studied extensively for applications against cancer, heart disease, blood sugar imbalances, and wound healing. Do you have experience with Astragalus benefits? I'd love to hear about it in the comments on YouTube or on the official podcast page, herbswithrosaleepodcast.com. Your comments mean a lot to me. I really mean that. I love cultivating a community of kind-hearted, plant-loving folks. Plus, it's always interesting and insightful to hear the experiences of plant lovers out there. Your suggestion may also help others. Okay, let's dive in. Astragalus root is a sweet tonic herb that is slightly warming. Like many sweet herbs, it's used to nourish and build. Western herbalists commonly use it for people who have signs of depletion, including low energy and frequent illnesses. Astragalus is often compared to ginseng, Panax ginseng, in regards to its adaptogen and strengthening qualities. While they are similar in action, Astragalus is less heating and stimulating. It's sometimes said that younger folks will benefit most from Astragalus, while older folks may find ginseng more beneficial, but that could go either way. In traditional Chinese medicine, Astragalus is called Wang Qi, which refers to the yellow-colored roots. It's considered to be a spleen qi tonic and a lung qi tonic. As a spleen qi tonic, it renews energy, increases appetite, improves digestion, and lifts prolapse organs. As a lung qi tonic, Astragalus root is useful for those who are frequently coming down with colds and the flu, have difficulty breathing, like with asthma, or those who sweat spontaneously. If you're new to the concepts of herbal energetics and understanding if a plant or a condition is hot or cold or damp or dry, then I highly recommend my first book, Alchemy of Herbs. This best-selling book shows you exactly how to choose herbs that are best for you based on your personal energetics. It also includes an entire chapter on Astragalus, including some of my favorite recipes like Astragalus and cardamom spiced rice, which is a cozy and yummy dessert. Astragalus root is renowned for its beneficial effect on the immune system. It's been shown to reduce the occurrence of common respiratory illnesses, inhibit tumor growth, and bolster immune system activity. One of my favorite Astragalus benefits is to modulate the immune system. Sometimes Astragalus is referred to as an immune system booster, but what it actually does is actually way more complicated and dynamic than that. Astragalus root really shines for people who frequently come down with upper respiratory viruses like a cold or the flu. By strengthening their immune system over time, Astragalus can help your immune system better defend against pathogens. As an immune modulator, Astragalus can help balance the immune system so that it's operating better overall. Many people with autoimmune conditions and seasonal allergies have benefited from Astragalus, not because it boosts their already overactive system, but because it helps to modulate their immune system so that it's working smarter, not harder. That being said, Astragalus isn't for everyone with an overactive immune system. I'll go over special considerations in a bit later in this episode. Astragalus has also been shown to have antiviral activity. One in vitro study showed that polysaccharides derived from Astragalus may disrupt the Epstein-Barr cycle and could possibly be beneficial for people with this virus. Another in vitro study showed that an extract of Astragalus had potent anti-hepatitis B activity. You might be wondering how Astragalus might help prevent COVID-19. Unfortunately, we don't yet have human clinical trials, but researchers are wondering about it. In an in vitro study that was published in March of 2022, it showed that honeysuckle and Astragalus together could inhibit the virus. The researchers wrote, "In conclusion, our findings demonstrate that honeysuckle and Astragalus have the potential to be used as an inhibitor of SARS-CoV-2 virus entry that warrants further in vivo analysis." A couple of older studies have shown promising results using Astragalus injections in patients with tuberculosis. One study concluded that Astragalus injections enhance the therapeutic effects of their tuberculosis treatment. Of course, Astragalus injections aren't like a DIY home experiment. Neither is tuberculosis. However, it's interesting to see the research that could lead to more integrative health solutions for patients with complicated diseases. Astragalus is a fabulous herb for improving immune system function, but of course, it will work best alongside other therapies like spending time outdoors, eating a nutrient-dense diet, having good amounts of vitamin D, and so on. In traditional Chinese medicine, Astragalus is considered to be a lung qi tonic. It's commonly used in formulas to strengthen lung health. A recent human clinical trial showed that Astragalus, when used in combination with other drugs, has the ability to prevent the occurrence of asthma in children. Astragalus extracts have also been shown to improve immune function in patients with an acute exacerbation of COPD. A 2022 systemic review and meta-analysis concluded that herbal formulas containing Astragalus can effectively alleviate the clinical symptoms of radiation-induced lung injury, reduce the toxic side effects, and is safe to use in the clinic. Astragalus has long been used in traditional Chinese medicine to support people diagnosed with cancer. Today, it's commonly used in formulas as adjunctive medicine during cancer treatments. In an in vitro trial, polysaccharides extracted from Astragalus were shown to block breast cancer cells by upregulating the level of nitric oxide and tumor necrosis factor A. Another in vitro studies has shown that Astragalus polysaccharides have promising results against lung cancer cells and human hepatocellular carcinoma cells. Sometimes cancer becomes resistant to chemotherapy. One in vitro trial found that Astragalus polysaccharides may increase the sensitivity of cervical cancer cells to chemotherapy by regulating cell autophagy. Another species of Astragalus, Astragalus boteticus, was shown to be effective against colon cancer in vitro. Astragalus is currently being studied to see if it can help patients with cancer-related fatigue. That preliminary research looks interesting. While Astragalus is being increasingly studied in regards to its benefits against cancer, it's important to know that while these initial studies are promising, we don't yet have clinical trials to draw any conclusions from. I look forward to seeing those. Type 2 diabetes is a chronic metabolic disease with many causes. Reversing type 2 diabetes requires a holistic approach that involves diet, sleep habits, movement, and more. Herbs can also play a role in addressing type 2 diabetes, and in recent years, Astragalus has been shown to have some interesting beneficial effects for people with type 2 diabetes. One review's findings showed that Astragalus could improve insulin resistance by reducing inflammatory factors in plasma, increasing glucose transport in skeletal muscle, enhancing liver glycogen synthesis, and activating insulin sensitizing hormone secretion. In other words, Astragalus can both protect people from the harmful effects of type 2 diabetes while also increasing insulin sensitivity, which can address some root causes. Another preliminary in vitro study showed that Astragalus polysaccharides may be beneficial for people with diabetic cardiomyopathy. If you're interested in working with herbs like Astragalus to address inflammatory conditions, then check out my online course, Cooling Inflammation. I'll include a link for the workshop in the show notes. Neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's affect millions of people. There is growing interest that Astragalus may be able to help. A review published in 2022 reported that based on the current literature, we conclude that Astragalus is a promising dietary herb with multiple potential signal modulating applications that mainly include the modulation of neurotransmitters and receptors, anti-inflammatory activities, inhibition of amyloid aggregation, induction of myelin sheath repair, and neurogenesis, as well as activation of the signaling pathways relevant to neurological diseases. That sounds very impressive. Astragalus root has long been used in Chinese medicine to protect the heart and the lungs. Recent studies have confirmed its protective qualities. In one study, patients with coronary heart disease were split into two groups, a placebo group and a group taking a Chinese herb formula that included Astragalus. After 3 months, those taking the Chinese herb formula had improved arterial functions and reduced inflammatory factor activities. Astragalus root has also been shown to protect the liver in case of injury, possibly due to its ability to decrease oxidative stress. Winston and Mames, authors of Adaptogens, Herbs for Strength, Stamina, and Stress Relief, recommend using Astragalus with other liver-protecting herbs like milk thistle, schisandra, and turmeric. Here's an interesting case report. A 79-year-old woman had kidney failure, but she didn't want to receive dialysis. So instead, she was given an herbal formula that contained Astragalus membranaceus, Codonopsis pilosa, Ligustrum lucidum, Panax cancofolius, and Rhodiola sacra. After 3 months of taking this formula, she had improved kidney function and improved kidney size. Astragalus has been used to treat nephritis caused by complications from lupus when used in conjunction with pharmaceutical drugs. It's also used to build blood and can be considered for those with anemia, especially anemia related to poor digestion. One study showed that patients with chronic aplastic anemia who received stanozolol, a pharmaceutical drug for anemia, alongside Astragalus had significantly better outcomes than those receiving the pharmaceutical drug all by itself. The researchers concluded that Astragalus injections could promote new blood formation. In Chinese medicine, Astragalus is recommended for postpartum fever due to qi and blood deficiency. It's also used in the recovery stage for severe loss of blood. There are so many Astragalus benefits. It can even be used to heal injuries and build bones. In the Chinese herbal medicine Materia Medica by Bensky et al., Astragalus is recommended to promote the discharge of pus and to generate flesh where there are chronic ulcerations and sores due to deficiency. One recent preliminary study showed that Astragalus root extracts may decrease hyperpigmentation. In one interesting randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled parallel study, a mixture using Astragalus was shown to increase height in children who had abnormally short stature. There are over 2,000 different species in the Astragalus genus. Some of these plants are toxic, and rarely are they known to have the same qualities as Astragalus propinquus, also known as Astragalus membranaceus. A few other species are used medicinally, and there's some evidence that the species Astragalus boeticus has similar immune modulating properties. There are many Astragalus species in North America that just grow wild and are often referred to as milk vetch. These are not safe to use. Herbalists use Astragalus propinquus as medicine. Astragalus is a perennial plant and a part of the pea family. Just behind me in my garden, I have a 3-year-old Astragalus plant, which right now is looking kind of scrappy because it's in its seed pod stage. Astragalus grows from 3 to 5 feet in height with sprawling stems. It likes to grow in sandy soils that drain well. The flowers appear in racemes of pea flowers that range from white to light yellow and light pink, which is my favorite. The flowers develop into seed pods. The roots can be dug in the spring or fall after 4 years of growth. The tap roots grow 3 to 4 feet into the ground, and one healthy plant yields about 3/4 pound of root. Since it takes so many years to mature, you'd need a lot of space in order to grow your own Astragalus in sufficient quantities. I like having the plant in my garden just to be around the plant, but I rely on other herbal farmers and online apothecaries to keep us in good supply year after year. Luckily, more and more US-based farmers are starting to grow Astragalus. Astragalus is generally regarded as safe, but there are some safety considerations. The Botanical Safety Handbook reports that the T-cell stimulating activity of Astragalus could, theoretically, contradict the effects of immune suppressant drugs such as cyclosporine and corticosteroids. In traditional Chinese medicine, Astragalus is avoided when there are signs of heat or yin deficiency. It's often said that it's best to take Astragalus to prevent colds and the flu, but it should be avoided during acute illness. While I would say that this is generally true, its use in traditional medicine is more nuanced than that. For example, if someone is sick and feeling weak, Astragalus could be used to strengthen and boost them towards wellness. Astragalus used to be commonly sold as these large, flat, tongue depressor looking roots. The more yellow the roots, the more highly they were prized. Unfortunately, these roots are often manipulated with yellow dyes, so I would avoid them. While Astragalus is traditionally used as a decoction or cooked with foods, Western herbalists also commonly use the tincture of the root. Throughout my clinical practice, I recommended Astragalus using dosages traditionally found in traditional Chinese medicine, which is 10 to 30 grams or higher. It's difficult to get this dose while using a tincture or even capsules. Many of the promising clinical studies involving Astragalus are using concentrated extracts and injections. As I've been mentioning, Astragalus is a building and nourishing herb. The best results with Astragalus are seen when it's taken long-term and in fairly high dosages. You can commonly find Astragalus as being sold as a powder, as whole roots, or roots that are cut and sifted. I like to buy the sliced roots for my soups because they're really easy to remove, you don't want to eat them, or the cut and sifted roots for use in a tea and decoction blends. The following Astragalus tea recipe is one of my favorite and most used herbal recipes. It's one that we're constantly brewing up through the winter months. This particular recipe can also be found in my first book, Alchemy of Herbs. Also in that book are my recipes for Astragalus cardamom rice and Astragalus bone broth. Not only does Astragalus tea support your immune system during the winter months, the spices that are in this recipe can warm you from the inside out, making this a perfect tea for the colder times of the year. Because Astragalus root comes in a variety of shapes and sizes, it's hard to measure out exactly how much you need by volume. That's why I recommend using a kitchen scale to measure it out by weight. Here are the ingredients for this Astragalus tea recipe. 20 to 30 grams of Astragalus root, 1 tablespoon dried orange peel, 2 teaspoons minced fresh or dried ginger, a half tablespoon cinnamon chips, a half teaspoon whole peppercorns, 1 or 2 cardamom pods, 2 whole cloves, and then 2.5 cups of water. To make this Astragalus tea, place all the ingredients in a pan with the 2.5 cups of water. Bring it all to a boil, then reduce heat and simmer for 20 minutes, covered. Strain, then add milk and honey as desired. Drink within 36 hours. If you'd like a free printable recipe card of this Astragalus tea recipe, then visit the link in the video description. You can also find more Astragalus information and tips in my book, Alchemy of Herbs. Also in the video description, I've included other helpful links, like where you can buy Astragalus, as well as both my books. If you enjoyed this video on Astragalus benefits, and you value trusted herbal information, then I hope you'll stick around. The best way to get started is to hit the subscribe button. And if you're really into herbs, then sign up for my weekly newsletter so you can be the first to get my best herbal insights and recipes. Here's your Astragalus Fun Fact. Can Astragalus help you live longer? Maybe. When studying longevity, researchers often look at telomeres. A telomere is a structure found at the end of a chromosome and is a region of repetitive DNA. Its job is to prevent deterioration of the chromosome. Shortened telomeres are associated with poor health and with aging. One in vitro study showed that Astragalus can slow telomere shortening as well as reduce DNA damage and increase the improvement of DNA repair ability. In a 2019 human clinical trial, researchers showed that healthy volunteers taking a mixture that included Astragalus polysaccharides had significantly longer telomeres than those taking a placebo. They also showed that this was especially significant in older donors. The study concluded that this mixture could be used in the treatment of chronic age-related disorders. Astragalus may also promote longevity by increasing autophagy, which is like our internal cleanup system, and by reducing oxidative stress.